Hey everyone, Dan Healy here from the Miami Heat UK. We are just over 1 week to go until trade deadline, and as you know, Miami are always linked every day with a new name, today being no exception. So this morning I thought I'd get up, throw together my top 10, and this is my top 10 list of trade targets, and give it a rating out of 10 compared to fit, likability, probability, etc. So Mickey Harrison, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, if you're watching this, see what I've got to say. This is my top 10. So the first player we are going to look at number 10 for me is Nemanja Bjelica. Bjelica. Pronunciation was right, so we've already got a win here. Nemanja Bjelica. Got your name right. A 32-year-old power forward from Serbia. This is a player who is averaging 8.1 points per game, 2.1 rebounds, and just under 18 minutes of play per game this season. So I quite like the player. I think he offers an offensive threat. He's a sizable player at 6'10", so he's defensively quite sound as well. So there's a few little nuggets here that I think I quite like about Nemanja, but he's shooting 32% from free on just 2.3 attempts per game, which is way down on his career average of 39% from free on 3.1 attempts. So for me, I think that the only way that you would like this deal to maybe happen is if you was looking at maybe a Meyers Leonard going the other way, which I'd have no idea why the Sacramento Kings would do this at the moment. That would seem strange. You're certainly not looking to move on Kelly Olynyk or Andre Iguodala to bring Nemanja in. So there's no real upgrade here. He's not an upgrade on either of those two players. So on a $7.1 million expiring contract, I don't really see how this one would happen. We have seen what he can do. A season high 25 points against the Miami Heat just a few weeks ago. As I said, he's a decent player. He's an offensive player who can do something at both ends. But as I said, this is no upgrade on Kelly or Iggy, so I don't really see how this happens. So on a probability and likability rating, I would give this just a 3 out of 10. So it doesn't look like we're going to see Nemanja Bjelica in a Heat uniform, even though I pronounced his name right. Okay, staying with the Sacramento Kings, and my choice in number 9 is Harrison Barnes. Now this is a different gravy because we all love Harrison Barnes, there's no doubt about it. 28 years old, power forward or small forward, so he's in his prime. He's a player who can shoot, who can run pick and roll, who can handle the ball. He's averaging 16.6 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and 3.5 assists. So he is up across the board in his career this year. So he 100% is the sort of player that the fit works so well. He fulfills the need of being a two-way player who can provide on both ends for the Miami Heat, and that is something that this team really lacks. So as I said, the fit, perfect. There's arguably not many players that you would like better than Harrison Barnes in terms of the fit. But on a £22 million contract this year, $20 million next year, $18.3 million in his third year, that's a good contract. That's a valuable contract. It's a sizable contract. But you're not going to just palm off players like Mo Harkless and Meyers Leonard, etc. Maybe Avery Bradley. You're not going to get you're not just going to get rid of those players to acquire a player like Harrison Barnes. So the Sacramento Kings are going to want something, and our assets are, as everybody knows, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Precious Achiuwa. So you would need to attach one, maybe even two of those players to acquire Harrison Barnes, and you'd have to wonder whether you feel like the Heat would do that. As I said, you need the money pieces to work, so you'd need somebody like one of those bigger contracts, bigger expiring contracts, like, as I say, Kelly Olynyk or Meyers Leonard, and so on. But you would then have to pair them up with one or two of those players, and I really don't see how the Heat would be willing to give up, for example, a Tyler Herro to acquire a Harrison Barnes. So for me, the fit, yep, again, I love it. The contract is valuable. That's one of the better contracts in this league, but I just don't think the Heat are willing to part ways with one of their prize assets to bring in Harrison Barnes. So again, for me, even though the fit is good, I give this only a probability rating of around 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. So I don't think we're going to see Harrison on the team this year anyway. Okay, in at number 8, we're going over to Chicago Bulls to look at Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr. is a 27-year-old power forward or small forward, 6'8", on a 28.5 expiring contract, averaging 10.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game, and 2.1 assists per game. So good numbers throughout the board. 38% shooting from free as well on 4.1 attempts per game. So Otto Porter Jr. is having a good season. I've watched a fair bit of Chicago this season, mainly because I'm a big Zach LaVine fan, but they've also got quite a few options here that are expiring. So Otto Porter Jr. sort of caught my eye. He very much reminds me, he's got lots of similarities to Josh Richardson, 3-and-D guard. He can guard multiple positions, he can switch all over the floor. So I've been impressed with him. So it's not that, again, the likability factor is not going to be high on this one, because it is. But I'm just not sure, again, why Chicago would deal this, because again, we're not going to give up an asset on an expiring contract. It's big money, so we need to send big money back the other way. They're not going to take out deadwood. Again, not going to look at players like Myers Leonard, Iguodala, Kelly Olynyk, etc., because they're in great form. So I would struggle to see how this one would happen. Unless we attach maybe a young pick, a Kendrick Nunn, for example, or a Precious, which I just, again, don't see how the Heat would do this. So I really like Otto Porter Jr. I think that he's having a really good year. He's been an effective player. Something that, again, we need, a wing presence. But again, it's not the fit. It's the likable. Sorry, it's not the fit. It's the probability here. So again, a bit like Harrison Barnes, I'm going to just give this one a 5 out of 10. In at number 7, we are going a different way this time. We're going to look at a point guard, and that is Toronto Raptors' Kyle Lowry, 6-time All-Star, 34 years old, again on a big expiring contract. But if anybody of you follow this account, you'll know that I have been saying that Kyle Lowry and the Miami Heat are a hand-in-hand perfect relationship. He gives you everything that we sort of crave, that we need, which is extra ball handling, an elite point scorer, facilitation at an elite level as well, and the numbers back that up. 18.1 points per game, 5.6 rebounds a game, 7.3 assists per game, which is up on his career stats. He's also shooting 40% from free at 7.2 attempts per game. So he's playing great basketball still, Kyle Lowry. You would have to say that the relationship with Jimmy Butler would be interesting as well, because they get on really well. So the fit, again, I've said it many times, is perfect. But you would have to say, if the Raptors, who are having a tough season currently as we stand, out of the playoff positions, but mainly down to health protocol problems, you would like to think that they've got enough talent there when they are healthy to be a playoff lock. But we will see. Every loss, you never know. Messiah might just say, okay, let's try and get something back for Kyle if we're not going to do anything in the playoffs this year. So even though I would expect Kyle to stay with Toronto, if he decided, Messiah, that it was going to make something work, you would think that he would give Kyle Lowry, after all his years of commitment to the Toronto Raptors, that he would give him free reign to choose where he wants to go. And I think if it did come down to that, it would be hard to look past the Philadelphia 76ers, which is his hometown, another fit that would be perfect for them as well. So you'd have to say that the likelihood of this happening is quite small. If they did decide Toronto to do this, you would say that what Miami would have to do is maybe send somebody young there that they can build around to add to their very good young core of Siakam and Fred VanVleet. I'm not sure Miami would do that, with no sort of real chance that Kyle would re-sign here next year either. And we haven't really got the picks either if Toronto decided to go down that route. We haven't really got the picks to entice them with that either. So again, everybody knows I'm a Kyle Lowry fan. I would love to see him in a Miami Heat uniform, but again, I just really cannot see this happening. So the same rating, I'm afraid. This one goes down as a 5 out of 10. Okay, in at number 6, and we're going over to Atlanta Hawks for John Collins. Now, let me just say before I go any further that if out of this little pool of players I'm putting together here, if it was down to me to pick one, with regardless of any issues of contracts and probability, etc., if I had to pick one, it's going to be John Collins. Imagine the next 7-8 years of Bam Adebayo and John Collins next to each other. You know, they're both young players. 23 years old, John Collins is, power forward. That's your front court sorted for the next half a dozen years. So I love the fit of John Collins on the Heat. You can see why Atlanta are sort of potentially looking to shop Collins at the moment. Obviously, Trae Young is getting paid. They've got Gallinari on big money. They've got Bogdanovic on big money. So they can't really afford to pay him, which is why there's been this scenario put out there that they could be looking to shop John Collins. If they did decide to keep him, you sort of Atlanta are now saying, well, this is it. This is the bulk of our money now for the foreseeable future tied in. So it's whether they think that that's championship caliber. So there could be a chance here that a deal could be done. Nearly every single team in the NBA will be looking at this player because he is special. 18 points per game he's averaging this season with 7.8 rebounds as well. So those numbers are pretty good for a player that is still young into the infancy of his NBA career. The question is, are you willing to give up Tyler Hero for him? Because that's what it's going to come down to, you would say. Obviously, you know, it really does just come down to that. You think at the moment, would Atlanta want to do anything right now? Because they are on a push of a playoff run, so they'd have to make it attractive. It would need to be a young piece for a young piece you would expect. And they have got that option to, he's a restricted free agent, so they've got the option to match whatever the contract is. The thing is, he is due this payday, and it is going to come down to what numbers we expect John Collins to command. Because again, same with us. If it's going to be in that sort of mid-20s range, it's questionable whether you do it. I don't know. I just really think there's a real player in there. I think that there could be value in the deal being done. I'm not sure whether we'll see it be done now. I think it will go down to the open market. As I said, Atlanta do have the chance to match any offer sheet. And I just think that at the moment, with Atlanta still sniffing around the lower seeds of the playoffs, they would want to keep John Collins. Why wouldn't you? So I love it. I would love to get him. We'll see what happens. I don't think anything's going to happen before a trade deadline, which is why I just give this a rating of 6 out of 10. Okay, into the top 5 we go, and next up we've got LaMarcus Aldridge from the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this he's quite high in my rankings because I think it could happen, but I don't want it to happen. LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't really do anything for me at the moment, especially in a trade scenario. As a buyout, that's a different option. That's maybe more appealing. But you know, this is a guy. I mean, look, LaMarcus Aldridge has had a great career, 7 times All-Star. He's still putting up decent numbers this year, 13.7 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, 6'11", so it gives you some size. It would work quite well, but I'm just, as I said, this isn't fan conjecture. There's been an actual report here that the Miami Heat have contacted the Spurs and they put an offer their way, which is rumoured to be apparently of Avery Bradley, Mo Harkless and Myers Leonard to make that £24 million expiring contract work. You know, there's the plus side of this is you think, okay, well, that's 3 players that aren't playing that you could then switch into a player that could have an impact, very similar to what we did last year when we took out 3 players that weren't playing in Justice Winslow, James Johnson and Dion Waiters to bring in the Jay Crowder and Iguodala deal last year, who both had an impact. So I get it, but for me, I'm still desperate to see Avery Bradley on this team. I think I was really excited when we acquired him, and we haven't seen enough of him. I think he's only made 10 appearances because of injuries and health protocols. So I want to see that happen before we look at LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm far more appealed to seeing Avery Bradley on this team than LaMarcus Aldridge on this team. So for me, it's not that I want it to happen, because I don't really, but I've ranked this quite high because I can see it happening. Pat Riley has been a long-term admirer of LMA, so I'm ranking this 6 out of 10. That could be understated. I think there is a real chance that this could happen, but for me, I don't really want it to, so I'm marking it down on that sense. 6 out of 10 for me. Right into number 4, and this is a brand new name. As I said, a new day, a new name, and today's name was Trevor Ariza from OKC Thunder. Again, another 35-year-old veteran here, so you can see what the Heat are looking at. They want this veteran presence, and again, this isn't fan rumours, this is a report Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer has reported that the Heat are in discussions with OKC to try and make this happen. He hasn't played a minute of basketball this season, so there are some concerns there about him getting up to scratch. You would like to think under the Heat's conditioning, if this did happen, it might be not really much of an issue, maybe a week or two, and he'd be up to scratch to start playing some productive basketball for Miami. I like the player 100%. I'm much more appealed to this than I am with Aldridge. Again, another veteran wing presence, solid 3-point shooter. He can defend multiple positions, and again, it's something that we lack on the wing. So I like this. What I like most about this is the fact that the cost would be next to nothing. Really, it could be as simple as Mo Harkless and a second-round pick, or Myers Leonard and a second-round pick. It could just be a second-round pick. So for me, a player like Trevor Ariza, that's about as low risk, high reward as you could possibly get. So I'm in for this. I don't think it moves the needle massively, but it does give you a need. It gives you another body, another person who can take some minutes away from Iguodala, for example, to give him a bit more much needed rest and load management. So I'm for this. We'll see what happens. I give this a 7 out of 10. It's not the most exciting trade, but it could be a very productive one. So 7 out of 10 for me. Right, so we are into the top three, and in at number 3, I am looking at PJ Tucker from Houston Rockets. I just think this is perfect, absolutely perfect, and I'm a little bit concerned about why there isn't more rumours, why there isn't more sort of traction to this rumour, because he ticks all the boxes. Houston are on a 75-game losing streak at the moment, so we can see what they're looking to do now. They're looking to reset. He has been told that they will look for a way for PJ Tucker to go out of Houston and maybe go and find himself on a contender. So again, the same thing, a 35-year-old veteran presence. He ticks all the boxes for a contender. So he's on his way out of Houston. He's a versatile defender. He's a player that doesn't command the ball. He still has lateral quickness, and he's a good perimeter defender. He has excellent game IQ. He has an affordable salary on, I think, just $8 million. So it seems perfect. It's like, I don't understand why there is not more traction to this. As I said, the Miami Heat have multiple expiring contracts that we could make this work quite easily. This should be quite a straightforward deal, you would like to think. So again, all the boxes are ticked. Could you imagine closing with Tucker, Iguodala, Butler, Bam, Avery Bradley? Good luck. That is absolutely locked in defence. So for me, I really like this deal. I am concerned about why we are not looking at PJ Tucker. There should be more traction to this. So I'm giving this a high rating. If it was up to me, I would like to see this get done. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Okay, get in now at number 2 is Rudy Gay from the San Antonio Spurs. Once again, the same sort of player, 34 years old, small forward or power forward, 6'8" player. He's averaging 11.1 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and he's shooting at 38% on 4.2 attempts per game from 3. So again, a $14 million expiring contract. This is no secret here that Rudy Gay is listed as one of the primary targets according to the reports, and I'm sort of expecting this is maybe the most realistic way that the Heat go for this tweak that we're expecting. So again, it's the same sort of thing as a lot of other players that I've said. He really does fulfill that need to give you that steady veteran wing presence, and he'll still contribute at a higher level offensively. I mean, those numbers are still good for a 34-year-old player. It'll also allow, it'll open up the offense to allow a little more of Bam and Jimmy to go and do their thing, of what they do best. So, it does tick a lot of boxes. It allows you another wing presence that, obviously, as we said, we know that we need from when Jay Crowder and Derrick Jones Jr. has left, and it will give you another leader on this team as well. So it does make a ton of sense. It is something that I'm maybe expecting to happen. Again, like I've said, it could be a low cost, very high reward sort of scenario here. It really comes down to what we think we might have to give up for Rudy Gay, because he would still command something. He's still been a productive player for San Antonio this year. Could it be a Kelly Olynyk and attaching maybe a KZ Okpala to acquire? Would that be too high maybe? Would they think that Kelly playing very well and KZ starting to show some glimpses? Same with Kendrick Nunn. Would they be willing to give up Kendrick Nunn? Is he expandable in this deal? So there's maybe some issues to iron out here, but I think that this is a natural fit, something that I think that is expendable to San Antonio that could come and help a contending team. So I think that this is going to rank quite high. There's a lot of rumours to it. There's some substance to it. I'm expecting this sort of thing to happen with Rudy Gay. I think we will see him on the Heat one way. It just comes down to what goes the other way and what can be worked out. So I'm giving this another high rating as you would expect. This is a 9 out of 10 for Rudy Gay joining the Miami Heat. And finally, my choice in my position of number 1 target that the Heat should be looking at is a slightly different player. We've been looking at a lot of the same sort of players, these veteran wings, these power forwards, but I'm going at my number 1, the Houston Rockets, Victor Oladipo. I think that this is a player that, you know, is forever linked with Miami. We know this. Is averaging 20.8 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 4.7 assists per game on a bad Houston Rockets team. He is in his prime at 28 years old. He has a great relationship with Jimmy Butler, and I think he fulfills all the needs that Miami are lacking in at the moment, because despite looking at all these power forwards and so on, and I get why, Heat are a good defensive team. They're a top 5 defensive team in the league, I believe, right now. We are not a good offensive team this season. So that sort of point scoring, an elite level scorer, which is something the Heat lack. He is an all-star caliber talent. I think that this goes hand in hand again. A good defender. I know that there will always be an argument about the fact that he's a free agent in the summer, so why go and give anything up now? Well, yes, I get that, but why not try and get his bird rights? That's an important thing as well. And do you think that we're going to be the only team interested in Victor Oladipo in the summer if he does become a restricted free agent, unrestricted free agent? You know, there's rumours about New York, and I know people might laugh about that, but New York Knicks are getting better. It might be a difficult thing to turn down the bright lights of New York on an improving franchise. So you could see something like that happening. So I think that, you know, Victor Oladipo, who gives us that natural scoring, that is a good ball handler, that can score, that can defend, and he's got culture stripped all over him. I say go and do it if you can. I know that there have been rumours and the Heat have made contact previously, and that the rumours are that the cost at this point is too high. But I would say, look, I mean, what does it mean? Do we have to give up, ignore the money pieces for a second, like the things to make it happen, like Kelly or Iggy or Leonard, etc. It will mean, if it means giving up a piece, and I think, while we're saying Duncan Robinson, maybe not, Kendrick Nunn, I would do it. Precious, I would do it. I would say go and do it now, because Houston, he's already rejected one contract. He's not going to stay there. They're going to look to build around Christian Wood, John Wall, and if they could add a young piece like Kendrick Nunn and Precious Achiuwa, I think that would maybe work for them as well. So I think that there is potential that this could be done. I think that Victor Oladipo could be the biggest name to go in this trade before this trade deadline. And imagine, as like I said with PJ Tucker, imagine finishing a game with Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, Goran Dragic. That is a team that is capable of challenging anybody. So I love this. I know that there's that argument about you can go and get him for nothing, but for me, get him while you can now, because there'll be a lot of teams interested in him. So I'm scoring this, probably unexpected, as a 10 out of 10 rating. Go and get Victor Oladipo. You heard it here first. So that was it. That was my top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. Just a bit of fun. I know nothing really. I'm just a fan who's projecting my thoughts. So if you agree with it, if you think I'm talking rubbish, let me know either way. I won't take offence. Get in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to Miami Heat UK TV. We're almost at that 200 subscribers now, and it'd be great to get there soon. We are doing this Vice Fits giveaway competition. So if you subscribe, retweet my tweet on Twitter about the competition, reply to it that you have subscribed as well, and you're in with a chance to win a Vice Fits t-shirt. Hope you enjoyed, guys. Please share, please like, please review, please comment, please do everything. Alright, I'll catch you soon. Bye.